Standing on the first floor of the grocery store, I watch in awe as strangers walk into the elevator. One by one, they press the button and wait as the doors close in front of them. How do they do it? They make it look so easy to do what, for me, feels like a heroic act of bravery. Standing outside the elevator, I press the button, pretending for a moment that I'm going to take a ride. As the doors open, I receive a holy invitation to face my fear. Do it, Jen. You can do it. A voice calls from within. I want so badly to step inside, to confront the anxiety holding me back. Just then, a customer walks into the elevator. Going up? She asks. My feet are glued to the floor. No, I'm good, thanks. But I'm not good. I wish I could face my fear. I wish I could free myself from this debilitating anxiety. As I ride the escalator to the second floor and grab a shopping cart, I wonder, will I ever beat this phobia? One day. Over the years, I've become a skilled elevator avoider. Stairs and escalators have become my best friends, helping me avoid the dreaded elevator. Every time I avoid the elevator, I reinforce my fear, making it harder and harder to conquer. Here's the irony. I am afraid of being trapped in an elevator, unable to escape, and yet the real trap has been avoidance. Avoidance leaves me begging security guards to unlock the stairs. Avoidance leaves me climbing 20 flights of stairs alone. Avoidance leaves me nervously calling places the day before, ensuring I'll be permitted to take the stairs. Avoidance is the trap. You know, I'm sure avoiding elevators must be more painful than riding the elevator itself. I know I'm not alone. Each of us has our own elevators, our own places, encounters, and situations we avoid as we try to spare ourselves from experiencing an ounce of discomfort. Reflecting on the past year, what are the elevators that we've all avoided? Many of us have avoided difficult conversations with our loved ones or coworkers. We've avoided making apologies and admitting when we are wrong. Keeping silent, we've avoided opportunities to share how we truly feel. We've avoided being our authentic selves as we worry how others might react. Some of us have avoided career changes and opportunities because, well, what if it doesn't work out? The risk of failure seems to be too much to bear. Even before the pandemic, how many of us have avoided traveling, exploring, and engaging in new experiences that could be incredibly meaningful for us? How many of us have become skilled at making excuses rather than pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone? Many of us have avoided seeking help when we found ourselves struggling emotionally. We've avoided necessary medical appointments, procedures, and opportunities to receive the help that we need. Reflecting on the last year, many of us have avoided making commitments or planning for the future. Our feet glued to the floor, The elevator doors close in front of us over and over again as we decline these holy invitations to confront our fears. Avoidance seems like the safe choice. Comfort first, right? Wrong. When we avoid discomfort, we limit our choices and experiences. When we avoid discomfort, we lose out on opportunities to take pride in how brave we are capable of being. When we avoid discomfort, we lose out on opportunities to deepen our relationships by being real with one another. What happens when we make a habit of avoiding discomfort? We shrink our world. Tara Brach, the author of Radical Acceptance, tells the story of a tiger named Mohini who lived at the Washington, D.C. National Zoo. Mohini spent most of her life in a 12 by 12 foot cage with iron bars and a cement floor. Without any freedom, Mohini paced back and forth in this tight space. Eventually, they expanded her habitat and created for her this spacious environment covering several acres. It had hills, trees, a pond, and a variety of vegetation. When Mohini was released into this new open environment, there was such excitement that she might finally enjoy that sense of freedom, a world expanded. But Mohini avoided exploring her new habitat. Instead, she spent the rest of her life pacing back and forth in a small 12 by 12 area in a corner of the space. It was all she knew. Like Mohini, many of us shrink our world. Boxing ourselves in through avoidance, we place unnecessary limits on ourselves. When we find the willingness, courage, and faith to face our fear and discomfort, we will expand our world. We will feel a newfound sense of freedom that's been missing from our lives. In our Jewish liturgy, one of our morning blessings says, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who frees the captive. Avoiding fear and discomfort holds us captive. One way we may gain freedom is by cultivating the trait of willingness. Musar teacher Alan Moranis states, imagine coming to the end of your life and realizing how much you missed because you leaned away from life instead of gently and wisely leaning into the challenges and possibilities. Willingness means being ready to engage, contribute, and even risk. One of the Israelite leaders who served as a role model to us in displaying willingness was Nachshon. Midrash teaches that when the Israelites were racing out of Egypt, Pharaoh chasing after them, they approached the sea and they were trapped. They couldn't turn around and go back to slavery, and the water in front of them prevented them from moving forward. This must be the end, the Israelites thought. Tradition teaches that one brave Israelite, Nachshon, marched forward into the water. The water went up to his ankles, then his waist, then his chest, and Nachshon kept moving forward. Soon the water was up to his mouth, and still Nachshon continued to move forward until, at last, a miracle, the sea parted. Imagine that sense of freedom Nachshon felt as the sea parted, and he and his fellow Israelites finally marched toward their promised land. Nachshon displayed deep willingness as he stepped forward with his full heart. The story of Nachshon teaches us that those brave first steps in facing our fears may lead to the ultimate reward of freedom. During the days of awe, we take time to reflect on our own lives. What if these were our final days? What conversations would we wish we had? What adventures would we wish we took? What fears would we wish we had conquered? The days of awe remind us to rise up to our potential, even when it's challenging. Rising to our potential begins with willingness. A second way Judaism encourages us to conquer our fears and learn to tolerate discomfort is by displaying courage. There is this mistaken belief that being courageous means being fearless. Mark Twain challenges this belief and states, "Courage is the mastery of fear, not the absence of fear." We know that even heroes like Nachshon experience fear, but they find the courage to keep moving forward through life's deepest waters. There are individuals who avoid airplanes. Throughout their lives, they miss out on opportunities to travel the world because of their fear of flying. Some fearful flyers have found the courage to fly by taking a fear of flying class taught by trained pilots. Captain Ron Nielsen, a retired pilot and therapist, accompanied his students on their flight. Standing at the front of the plane, he says, "What I find for most people is the first thing they need to do is to give themselves permission to be afraid." Those of us who avoid fear and discomfort spend a tremendous amount of energy telling ourselves we can't possibly do something because we are afraid. This pilot teaches his students that they can be afraid and still find the courage to get on that plane. As the plane took off, one of his students cried in joy. She'd avoided airplanes for 6 years after suffering from a panic attack while flying. Wiping the tears in her eyes, she said, "God, it's like the world opened up again." When we find the courage to face our fears instead of avoiding them, we too will open up our world. Suddenly, we will feel a sense of freedom and pride. Of course, it's not easy. It takes enormous courage, in Hebrew, ametz lev, strength of heart, that can only come from within. As writer Liz Gilbert says, you just have to make friends with your fear and make space for your fear and make peace with your fear. I recognize that my fear has a role in my life to protect me against unknown outcomes. Your fear assumes that all unknown outcomes end in your bloody death. All my fear is trying to do is save my life. Instead of avoiding situations because of fear, we can allow our courage to hold hands with our fear, calming it down and reminding us how brave we are. As Shmuel HaNagid said, at times of distress, strengthen your heart. Even if you stand at death's door, the lamp has light before it is extinguished. Wounded lions still know how to roar. Jewish tradition teaches us that a third way to confront our discomfort and conquer our fears is by having faith, turning to the divine. God tells the prophet Isaiah, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand." Praying to God when we are afraid does not mean believing God will prevent bad things from happening. We know that bad things happen. What our relationship with the divine may do is provide us strength during turbulent times. Rabbi Harold Kushner was asked by a reporter what he thought of an experiment that seemed to show that praying for people in hospitals made no difference. He told the reporter, "God's job is not to make sick people healthy. That's the doctor's job. God's job is to make sick people brave." Sharing our worries with the divine may provide us with faith that no matter how frightening the situation, we are strong enough to handle it. Yehuda Halevi writes, "Where, God, will I find you? Your place is high and obscured. And yet, where won't I find you? Your glory fills the world. I sought your nearness. With all my heart I called you. And in my going out to meet you, I found you coming toward me." When we strive to feel God's presence with us during uncomfortable situations, conversations, and those seemingly never-ending elevator rides that make us tremble, we may feel God helping us through. And in that way, we are never alone. We may experience God's holiness in the kindness of individuals who support us as we face our fears, in the freedom we feel when we finally get in those elevators, in the ability to help others who struggle with elevators of their own. Faith is powerful. Faith can help us to act with a bravery we didn't know we had, a bravery God surely knew we had all along. As we celebrate Rosh Hashanah and usher in a new year, may the sound of the shofar call on us to live the life we've been dreaming of living. May the sound of the shofar call on us to live with urgency, excitement, to conquer our fears and to engage in opportunities for growth. Like our brave leader Nachshon, let's walk into those waters together, believing the freedom waiting for us on the other side will be worth our efforts. Like those fearful individuals taking flight, may we let our courage steer the plane. And when we are afraid, unsure of our capabilities, lost in the darkness, may our faith shine like the brightest star, helping us find our way toward freedom. No matter how many elevators I avoid, there's always another one that comes my way. I'm sure in this new year I will receive yet another holy invitation to ride an elevator. I pray that when each of us receives holy invitations to ride elevators of our own, together we will RSVP yes. I pray that in this new year, when each of us is asked, going up, we will display the willingness, the courage, and the faith to ride to the top, fulfilling our own potential just as God intended us to. Shana Tova.